Good evening, everyone. Welcome to day 7 of the 14-day challenge. It's also Veterans Day, which sort of inspired my topic for today. And I'm in a different room because I wanted to be by the fireplace where it's warm because it's really cold here in Texas today. So my story as an Army wife is kind of where this video comes from. So much like the service member chooses their life, in many cases so does the spouse, and really we always have that choice. In my case, my husband was already active duty when we got married. In fact, it was part of the reason for when we got married at the time we got married. For the next 7.5 years, I served as an Army wife. 3 of those years, non-consecutively, were spent with him in a different country. 2 of those deployments on different continents. One, we were, I guess, on the same continent because we lived in Germany and he was in Turkey. For 2 of those deployments, I was pregnant for part of them. We've made lots of jokes about that. We are very blessed that Peter was able to be home for the births of both of our children. Until Dietrich turned 6, Peter had been away from home for half of Dietrich's life. By contrast, he only missed about 6 months total of Madeline's life with the last deployment and then a couple of temporary duty stations. And during those times of long separations, some people in my community were immensely helpful. The ones that were local did things like offering to cook meals or babysit or help me take out the trash or do just different things around the house that I might need help with. Other people, sometimes friends that maybe were not close in proximity, or sometimes just acquaintances, and then even strangers, could say the very wrong things. And these, the ones I'm going to share with you, are my top 2 that I remember, and they both have something in common that might surprise you when you're talking about a person talking to a military spouse going through a deployment. Now, I'm going to refer to the military spouse as she because that's my experience. I do recognize that some military spouses are husbands, and I'm not discounting those people at all. I'm just speaking as myself. So the first one was, "Oh, I know how you feel. My husband has been gone all week on a business trip." No, that's not how I feel. It would bother me every time. No, you don't know. You don't know from a night, you don't know from a weekend, you don't know from a week. You don't even know from a month. Talk to me when it's 6 months, talk to me when it's a year. Then we can talk about that you know how I feel about those kinds of long separations. Talk to me when your communication during those separations is inconsistent at best and often interrupted because the internet connection is not good where your husband is, or there is something that interferes with that connection that is potentially life-threatening and life-changing. The second one, it's kind of 3 things that people would say. "You're so strong. I don't know how you do it. I could never do what you're doing." Well, I'm not strong. I'm just a person doing what I have to do. If you were in my situation, you would either do the same thing, or that would mean you were not a very good person. And there are plenty of those people who, when the going got tough, they did divorce their husbands who were deployed. They did run off with somebody else. That was their choice. And we always have choices, like I said in the beginning. But the alternative to not being strong, to not doing it anyway as a military spouse, is not a good thing. That's right. For me, I don't have a choice. My choice is I made a commitment and I'm sticking with it. My strength comes from God, from my church family, from my family, my husband drew from my strength and vice versa. And we have to be able to be there for each other, even if there's a continent or an ocean between us. So the thing that these two things have in common is they both remove the focus from the military spouse and what she might actually need. Instead of it being about, how can I help you? What do you need? What can I do to serve you? It's, oh yeah, I know all about that. And oh, I could never do that. And it's bringing it back to that other person. And I had to spend the next several minutes saying, well, what does it say about you? Sometimes I was nice about it. Sometimes I wasn't. Just depending on what kind of day it had been. I did find 3 other tips that actually are supportive towards a military spouse. If you happen to have somebody in your life with a deployed spouse or an active duty spouse, or maybe even a veteran spouse, ways that you can help support them. And I will be happy to share those with you. So shoot me a message and I will be glad to share them, and I will talk to y'all tomorrow. Bye.